Well, now, in that last one about money, this is just a little follow-up. I view these things before I send them out to the world. Have to make sure they're right. And in that last one, I talked about something that I didn't give the full explanation on, and you're going to think, well, that doesn't make sense. What's the deal? I was talking about bumsicles, as they're called in New York. Bums and bumsicles. That's what the article I read was calling them. I'd call them nicer things than that, but, that's what they were calling them in the article, so I'm sticking with that. And I didn't give the reason that the bums were drinking the water. I just said they went up and they drank the water, but that wasn't, I missed something there, so I want to add it now so it'll make sense to you. These guys in New York, the bums, the hobos, they are freezing on the streets of New York. And so what happens is a car will drive up and they will then let it cool off for a little while, and then they'll crawl up under it like they were making love to it or something, and they put their body in the middle part, and then their head is up under the radiator. And what they do first is they put their hands on the radiator, and that warms their hands. See, they're freezing, maybe snowing. So they put their hands on the radiator, which is still hot, and that warms them up. And then they can feel when it's cooling down to just warm, not boiling. Then they crack that nut on that radiator, and they drink that radiator water, which is half water and half coolant, which isn't a good thing, to say the least, but they're freezing to death. So they drink this warm water out of the bottom of the radiator to get warm fast. It would be like taking a cup of coffee, I suppose, but that warm radiator water gets them warm. Of course, it gets them warm and then cold when they die, but that's another story. But I wanted to, get that in there, because the other way, I didn't give the reason why they were doing it. It didn't make any sense. And then they die after they're under, getting all that water that's filled with antifreeze. So that's the deal there, and what happens, I can imagine, some guy comes out and finds his big BMW, in the morning, and he goes to drive away, and, it's clunking along and clunking. And so he pulls over and he says, "Oh, Jesus, I got a bumsicle attached to the bottom of my car. What am I going to do?" So he calls the police. And he says, I drive a BMW. Don't I get any special respect around here? Geez, come on now. But this bumsicle's attached to the bottom of my car. So, what would be an enterprising thing to do for somebody back there in New York, and they've probably done it, is something like bumsicle remover. Those like ice scrapers you run across your windshield? Well, you could put like a scraping thing on like a pole, and then just, go under your car there, and if the bum's tongue is still attached, or maybe, in the night he took his pants down to, have a wee-wee, and maybe it got stuck to the car too. So he looks down and he sees his tongue and the guy's wee-wee stuck to his car. They're frozen there. You say, "What was he trying to do to my car? My goodness." So that would be a pretty unsavory sight. So we'd take that scraper, that long 4-foot long scraper. You put some knee pads on, of course. You wouldn't want to hurt your knees. And then he'd go under that car and he'd try to break that tongue off on the radiator. And he'd do that. And then he'd go back and he'd break that guy's penis off the bottom of his car where it was frozen. And so I have a suggestion for all those people back there in New York. if you're wearing those knee pads like that, why don't you just keep them on and try something else with those knee pads on? You know what I mean? I think that'd be very fitting for you. So, anyway, there's my little dig at the fine, fine people of New York. I'm just teasing them. They're the greatest people in the world. Everybody knows that. I mean, who wouldn't want to live in New York? Anyway, that's the story. That's the full story of the Bumsicles. Just wanted to edify you on that. I knew you wouldn't be able to sleep at night saying, why would that bum, put that water from the radiator in his mouth? Well, now you know. Now you know the whole sickening, horrifying deal of it all. And I don't know what happens after the bumsicle is, pried off. I guess the guy runs him over again, but what difference does it make at that point? And then the guy probably thaws out, and I don't know, maybe I don't want to say it, but hopefully the sanitation department, or the medical examiner comes and they take his body away, and he's on a slab somewhere, and then he's still cold on the slab.